Good morning. Good morning. I don't even know if you guys can hear me or not. It is absolutely pouring outside right now. I actually delayed a minute or two because it was thundering so loud that I debated on whether or not I even wanted to hop on here. But here I am. And hopefully here you will be shortly. I need everybody that watches this to do me a favor. Please share the video so that people can get to know this Facebook page, because our other one is just, I don't know if our normal Facebook page is ever coming back. We're trying, but it's not going too far right now. So we need the word out about this Facebook page so people can come in and hang out with me in the mornings and watch videos and comment, make fun of me or whatever. So please, if you're on YouTube, go to our Facebook page, The Range STL. That's who you want to look for now. If you're on Facebook, just share it, and hopefully people can like the new page or follow the new page or whatever it is you got to do now, so that we can get more interaction on these things. So, I was gone all week. You guys were stuck with Liz doing this. I think she did it once, and Vinny did it with her once. But I'm back, and now she's gone on vacation. So now you guys are stuck with just me. So I know it won't be as interesting, but here we are. So what I wanted to talk about, first, only because of my vacation last week, we drove to vacation. Dang it, Ryan. Okay, I'm down. Ryan says he doesn't want more interaction. He just wants to keep me all to himself. Okay, you asked for it. Every so often I do a belt-fed Monday segment on Monday morning videos because people have a way of getting under my skin. Mr. Miller, good morning. We were driving to Tennessee, to Pigeon Forge, to go hang out in the Smokies for a week, and we're on the interstate. Traffic, not super bad traffic, but pretty heavy, you know. Speed limit was, I don't even remember, 60, 70, whatever it was. We were doing 45 miles an hour. And this lovely person, I'm sure, normally, they're very lovely, was riding my tail. I had a gap between me and a person in front of me, like a half a car length, maybe a full car length. And this person was on my rear end, like, and scooting over to the left to try to see if I still had a gap over there, and then there'd be a slight gap in the lane to my right, so they would jump over there. But I wasn't being a jerk. I was just keeping it at 45, but the traffic, his lane would slow down, and he'd end up getting behind me, shoot over and behind me again. I had to do what we tell people to do all the time, and just be the bigger person. Did I really want to, like, brake check him, or every time he got on the side of me, speed up so he couldn't get around me? Yeah, I wanted to, and I really thought about it. But, I have 15-year-old twins that are learning to drive, and I'm trying to be a somewhat decent example. And B, it's just not worth the mental frustration. Our lights just flickered. Just in case you lose me, that's what happens. Anyway, it's not worth the mental anguish of me just going back and forth with this guy and making them, someone who's already being irrational, without a doubt. They're already being irrational. And if I'm going to feed that, it's just not worth it. It's not worth the chance of, him finally getting in front of me, or maybe him just deciding he wants to try to pit me or something crazy. It's just not worth it. So eventually he got around me. I didn't change. I didn't try to let him over. I just kept going. Eventually he got around me, and he was riding a person's rear end in front of them. And I left a little bit of space. Nothing bad happened. They were just being a jerk. So don't be a jerk. There's nowhere for anybody else to go. Everybody was doing the same speed. And then be the bigger person. That's the ultimate thing there is for you. I really wanted to lay on the horn, to give him the one finger wave and all that good stuff. Ritz, good morning. But it's just not, it's not worth it. It really is not. If you saw somewhat recently, I don't know what led up to this, but there was a road rage incident where, for whatever reason, these two guys pull off into a parking lot or on the side of the road or whatever, and person A jumps out of their car with a gun in their hand and goes up and starts yelling and screaming. And the person B, who was getting yelled and screamed at by somebody with a gun in their hand, was also armed and shot and killed him. Now, I don't know who had responsibility and what and all that jazz. From just that snippet of video, the guy who walked up to the car with a gun in his hand is absolutely in the wrong. But I don't know if the person who actually shot and killed, person B, if they had any responsibility in that interaction. They probably had some. Will that come into play legally? I don't know. But, Paul says natural selection. Absolutely. It's not freaking worth it. Again, I wasn't there. I didn't see anything else. I'm just making up stories in my brain. But I'm sure person A thought, I'm going to show this guy that I'm the tougher person. It's going to use a different phrase, but not quite appropriate. I'm the tougher person. I'm going to show him how tough I am because I've got a gun in my hand. And he lost his freaking life. It's just not worth it. Let that kind of silly crap go. Now, sometimes people are irrational and do irrational things. That happens. I told a story a couple weeks ago when I was on here with Liz about somebody road rage thing. I didn't even know what I was participating in. I had no idea. I'm just driving, and I happened to pull into a parking lot of a store behind another car. When I pulled in the parking lot, this car took off and did a U-turn in the parking lot and then flipped me off and took off. And then I went and parked, and they backed up, did another U-turn, and came over and drove by me. And I'm like, nope, sticking in my car. There's no reason for me to get out and be like, what the hell's your problem, dude? I didn't like that either. It's just not worth it. Be the bigger person. I had a great class. So Saturday I taught CCW Law Review, which is a newer course to us, but it's essentially the law section of the CCW class. So you get to ask more questions. It's for the person who maybe has had their CCW for a while but needs a refresher on the laws. Maybe they are just deciding they're actually going to start carrying their gun, or maybe it's for the person who wants to permitless carry and wants to have a better understanding. And we've kind of got this class broke up into two segments. One is like big overview law stuff, and then we get into more of the details of Missouri specific stuff. And I had a whole one student, right? One young lady, and she was awesome. She knew nothing about nothing. And she was there, was supposed to take the class with her daughter. Her daughter had to reschedule for whatever reason, but she was like, nope, I still want to go. We had a great conversation for 4 hours about how hard it is to not involve yourself if you don't have to. Because we want to. We want to go up and tell that person they're being stupid and that we know better and they should know better. It's just not worth it. It's not. Now, you need to be able to have a voice. You need to be able to set boundaries. In this case, this was a woman, so it is super important for her to be able to set boundaries with somebody if they're doing something or saying something that's inappropriate. But sometimes that boundary setting doesn't have to be verbalized to that person. It could be set outside of that by going and talking to a manager and saying, hey, I need somebody to help me walk out of the car, or getting law enforcement involved. Whatever the case is. Be the bigger person. Be polite to people until it's time not to be polite. Then it's okay to be rude and do what's best for you. So, anyway, sorry, tangent. Mondays. I used to get pretty fired up on Mondays a lot, but I get to go to jiu-jitsu, so it makes it hard to be angry after I got to go fight with people on the mat on Monday mornings. I got to go to jiu-jitsu this morning, and a really cool thing happened. One of our Lady Sentinel members, pretty sure she's a Lady Sentinel member, was there. It was like her second class. It was awesome. I got to roll with her and drill with her this morning and watch her be super confused and overwhelmed and then watch her get stuff. It was freaking cool. It was an awesome morning at jiu-jitsu. If you have an opportunity and you've never gone to a jiu-jitsu class, go. If you want to come to the gym that I go to and right down the street from us, Gracie Baja, do it. I've seen a couple of our members in there, and it's always cool to get to roll with them. If you're not out in this area, find a gym close to you and go do it. It is so much fun. This young lady this morning was very frustrated because it's a lot of new concepts and a lot of new things and all that. But by the end of the day, or the end of the morning, she was digging it, having a great time, making connections, which was really cool to see. Even a coach saw it and mentioned it to her afterwards that he's like, hey, stick with this because you're going to be good at this. Because you could see her making these connections and making things happen pretty quickly. Which led me to my topic for this morning. What are you going to work on today? What is it? Is it maybe something with your gun, building a better grip, having a faster draw, building a proper grip on the draw? Maybe it's shooting bullseyes, that super precise shooting that we talk about sometimes that most of us meaning trainers, don't love, except for Liz, because she's backwards. But maybe it has nothing to do with shooting. Maybe it's jiu-jitsu. Maybe it's, I'm going to read a book today. That's something I am not good at. I have, however, started, when I was on vacation last week, I made it one of my goals every morning was just to read a few pages. And that few pages turned into, well, I'm going to read a few more. I'm an early riser. Most of the rest of my family is not. So I'd get up in the morning and I'd say, okay, instead of getting on my phone and looking at Facebook for 30 minutes before everybody gets up, I'm going to read 5 pages out of my book, and then I'll get on Facebook. And the next thing I know, it's an hour later, and people are asking me what's for breakfast, and I'm still sitting there reading my book. So pick something. Make yourself a little bit better today. Pick a thing. I know for me in the shooting world, I have to work on my grip. I talk about grip all the time to people and how important it is. I have to work on building my grip when I'm trying to get my gun fast out of the holster. From concealment specifically, but I struggled in the class we took with Brian Hill 3 weeks ago. I struggled with building my grip. It's something I need to work on. I need to go back to that and work on it. So I have so much going on from being gone for a week, but I am going to take 5 minutes today. 5 minutes, that's it. And I'm going to work on building my grip. I think that it's important that we try to find those little things. I'd like to say every day. I don't know that I could commit to it every day, but I think we all can find 5 minutes to improve something. Maybe it's handwriting. That's something I should probably work on, as my handwriting is atrocious. but find something that you want to do better at. Maybe it's just being gracious. Maybe it's organizing. Not good at that either. Find something and make yourself a little bit better. So I want to hear from you. I know there's only like 3 people on here right now. Again, if you missed the very, very beginning, please share this. We need to get people to like this Facebook page because our main Facebook page is hopefully coming back. But right now it's not looking very likely. My hope is that we can get that one back sometime soon. But I still want to build up this page. Charles is now on vacation, but when he gets back, I might ask him to make another backup Facebook page just in case this one gets nuked. So keep your eyes out for that too. You might have a third one for you to check out. Let's see. Ryan says, I recently took another look at the backstraps on my Glock 17 after deciding I didn't want it. Now I know I was wrong. That's so interesting to me, Ryan, because I literally brought the backstraps in for my Shadow today. Now, on Shadow, it's slightly different designed backstraps than the Glock backstraps. Glock, just going to say it, Glock just adds girth, right, to theirs. So to make the grip size a little bit bigger. It doesn't change anything else, which is perfect because Glock has their specific angle, grip angle. Some people love it, some people don't. When you add a backstrap to it, it does not change the grip angle at all. It just changes the size of the grip to fit your hands a little bit differently. I actually used to shoot with the medium backstrap on. Then I took that off. Andy, I'll get to that in a second. And I've shot Gen 4 Glocks, so Gen 3 Glocks, there were no backstraps. So with the Gen 4, the medium size makes it about a Gen 3 size. So I shot with the medium backstrap on for a long time, and then I decided I'm going to try it without. I actually liked it better, and I stuck with that. So when I made the jump over to Shadow Systems, I run those without a grip, or without a backstrap. On Shadow, their backstraps don't necessarily change the girth of the grip. They more so change grip angle. Okay, so the other gun I've been carrying lately is a SIG P365 XL. Its grip angle is different. So when Brian Hill was here, I shot 2 of the 3 days with my 365 and 1 day with my Shadow Systems. And it messes with me because my dot's either high or it's low depending on what gun I'm using and all that stuff. So yesterday I was doing some organizing at my house. I came across my back straps for my Shadow and I threw them in my bag, and I'm gonna mess with those today and see if I like it, because they have a back strap that simulates the grip angle of SIG. So I'm gonna see if I have both guns with me, see if my presentation can feel more natural. So I don't know. We're gonna mess with the two. So I'm in the same boat as you, Mr. Ryan. Andy, did you and Liz get your chapstick holders? Yes. Thank you. We had no idea who those came from. I think it was when we were in Brian's class. One day I came upstairs and I don't have it on me. But you know what? Let's go. I'm gonna go in my office. I do have chapstick in it. Go in my office and I'll go get it. But yeah, we came up from class and I saw it sitting there and I was so confused about what the hell it even was. And I'm looking at it and trying to figure it out. I don't remember if it was Liz or if it was me that looked it up and figured out that it was the whole chapstick. And it's funny, we were kind of racking our brains as to where it may have come from. So we were racking our brains as to who it may have come from, and I kind of thought it might have come from you. So thank you, sir. I do appreciate it. If you guys don't know, I am a bit of a chapstickaholic, and people make fun of me for it and all that, and that's okay. I don't mind. But this is kind of a cool little gadget. I really want to put it on something, but I'm not 100% sure what. I did also yesterday, this gives me a good idea at least. I came across, I used to have this little like retractable cord thing that I used for my key card. And I quit using it a while ago, but I came across that yesterday too. Maybe I'll put this on it. But this holds my, it's got a little bottle opener, and it holds my chapstick. Now, I am a chapstickaholic, like I said. So this is the chapstick I carry in my pocket most of the time. But yeah, Andy says put it on a chest rig. I could mount it to my my battle belt, and it's actually not a bad idea, because when I'm wearing my gun belt, it's hard for me to get in my pockets because there's so much crap on my belt. So I actually, a lot of times, again, I have an addiction and I know this. So a lot of times I actually take out my chapstick out of my pocket and put it in a either in a mag pouch if I don't need all my mag pouches, or I've got a little general purpose pouch that I keep a multi-tool in. I'll take when I'm teaching here and I'm not running around all over the place, I can take the multi-tool out and just put it on the bench so it's there with me, and I put the chapstick in the pouch. So I have a problem, and I know it. And I appreciate you supporting my problem, Mr. Miller. It's very kind of you. So anyway, this is a pretty cool thing. It's pretty slick. I won't lose it. So thank you again. Anyway, where was I? I don't know. It probably doesn't matter. All right. Do you have a separate chapstick for your WML? I do, sorta. So if you don't know, what's one of the when you have a weapon mount WML, weapon mounted light, when you have a light mounted underneath the muzzle of your gun, it gets nasty. So one of the things people will do is take just a little bit of chapstick and smear it on the lens, so that when it comes time to clean that off, it cleans off easier. You don't goop it on there. You don't need it to be this gross, slimy mess. Just a very, very thin light coat. It helps get the gunk off of it later. I have a problem with chapstick. So I actually used to make my own. And so I actually have one of those here. The stuff that I make isn't nearly as stable as the commercial stuff because it doesn't have all the gunk in it. So it doesn't work real well for high heat. Like you can't leave it in a car, or even if you have it in your pocket all day, it starts to get pretty soft. So I actually just keep that one in my desk here, and it has become my weapon mounted light chapstick. And it works really good for it. So yeah, I honestly don't run a WML too much. I've thought about it for more of the law enforcement training stuff, about starting to have my light on more. Gosh dang it. There is application to having a weapon mounted light, for sure. It's not as much as you would think, as much as most people would think, especially for civilian use. For law enforcement, I see it being more applicable. There is some complications, though, with holsters and lights. Just recently, you can look them up if you look up Craig Douglas's Facebook page. I don't remember if the video that he posted was from sometime very recent, or if it was just a repost from a year or 2 or 3 years ago. But if you don't know who Craig Douglas is, he is one of the, if not the go-to authority on grappling and guns, right? On actually fighting and having a gun concealed or open, the civilian side, law enforcement side, whatever. And he's got a great video. One of his big concepts is, protecting the gun and keeping it in its holster and all that sort of thing, so you don't get shot with your own gun. And in this video, he has 2 or 3 different holsters. I don't remember. I know there was one Blade Tech duty holster and one Safariland. One of the 6390s or whatever, one of the standard go-to Safariland holsters. Pretty much anybody could get their finger in there and the gun could go bang while it's in the holster. And it's because of the weapon mounted light. It's because there's a light there that they have to make the holster wide enough to accept it. So there's pros and cons. And just like anything that we do, carrying a gun is a compromise. Carrying a gun with a light on it is a compromise. When it comes to concealed carry, having a light on your gun is definitely a complication. If you've got a Glock 19 and a TLR1, okay, your ability to find a holster for it is going to be pretty easy. And not just find a holster, but find a holster that you like and that works for you, right? Because that's one of the complications of carrying a gun already is you go and get a holster. This Filster Pro that I carry here, great holster. I love this holster. I recommend it to people all the time. It's not going to work for some people. Some people are going to go and buy this and be like, "Ooh, Phil said this is a great holster, so it's got to be a great holster." And it is a great holster. But it might be that when they go to put it on, it doesn't sit right for them, or they prefer to have leather against their skin, or some sort of padding, whatever it may be. You may not like this. When you add a light to your gun, you extremely narrow down the scope of your selection of holsters. And then out of that small selection, you have to find one that works for you. And this is one of the reasons why we tell people that you're going to end up with a box full of holsters. Literally yesterday, while I was doing some organizing at home, I have a shelf in my closet that I have a couple of holsters on, depending on what gun I'm wearing and what clothes I'm wearing that day. I mostly go back and forth between two guns, P365XL and this gun. We can talk about that, maybe not today, maybe we'll talk about that another time. I don't really recommend changing guns like that a lot, but I do it. Not a ton, but anyway. And out of those two, for those two guns, I have a Filster Pro for each, and then I also have a Filster Enigma for each. And I pretty much use one or the other each day. So I took downstairs to my Rubbermaid tote full of holsters, like 6 more holsters that I used to use pretty regular that I just don't use anymore. So that happens. Sometimes it takes you buying something. You go and you buy this Filster Pro today, and you wear it for 3 or 4 or 5 months. You're like, this is pretty good. I like it. And then you come in and you see something else. You see a crossbreed something or another, and you're like, that looks kind of cool. I've seen several other people using it. Maybe I'm going to try it. And you put it on, and maybe you're like, man, this thing's way better than the Filster, so I'm going to put the Filster away and just use this one all the time. Or maybe you try it for a week or two and you're like, it just doesn't do it for me. Or maybe it works really well in these clothes, but not in these clothes, which is why I go back and forth between my Enigma and the Pro. If you're unfamiliar with the Enigma, look it up, but it's essentially a self-contained system, and I don't have to wear a belt with it. Although Brian Hill did show us something when he was here of wearing his Enigma with a belt and a I can't remember the name. It's not the 2-clip version like this one. It's just a single metal clip, but he wears a regular belt with it and puts that clip over his belt and helps hold it in place. And he uses that in lieu of the leg strap. But regardless, depending on what I'm wearing, I wear holster A or holster B. When I'm at work, I've always got a belt on, so I pretty much always just wear one of the Pro holsters. They are easier to put on and take off. The Enigma is what I wore when I was on vacation. Drove with it in a car for 10 hours, no big deal. One of the upsides to the Enigma, especially for women, is you don't have to take your gun off to go to the bathroom. For guys, you don't either, obviously. But it does add a little bit of complication just because of the leg strap and wearing boxers and I don't know, maybe TMI, but don't care. It's a consideration. It is more work to do what you got to do with the Enigma. So that's a consideration that I think about whenever I put that on. But it's weighing pros and cons. That's where I started with this, in case we lost that whole topic. But it's always weighing pros and cons. Like, I can do this. If I do this, what do I have to give up to be able to do it? And is that worth it to me? If the answer to that is yes, and you've weighed as many options as you can think of, then do it. If you say, like, hey, I want to put a gun in my pocket, okay, what's the upside? It's easy. A, don't do that unless it's in a holster. And even then, I don't love it, but it needs to be in a holster designed to be in your pocket. I'm not just saying throw a gun in your pocket. But what's the upside of that? You put it in the holster, you put it in your pocket, that's easy. And you can do that in pants or shorts, anything with a pocket, right? But what do you give up for that? Well, you give up the speed of access, right? You give up the ability to get the gun out, in most cases, reliably and quickly, right? What other benefits do you have of it? Well, one of the benefits is that you could have your hands in your pocket if something was making you feel uncomfortable, much like we tell people to do with pepper spray, which is sitting on my desk right now and not in my pocket. But if something's making you feel a little uncomfortable, you should already have that in your hand. Even if your hand's in your pocket, grab it. That's an advantage of having a gun in your pocket, is if something's making you feel uncomfortable, you have that option. However, just like we tell people with pepper spray, if you've got that much lead up to where something's making you feel uncomfortable and you keep walking into it, you're making a mistake. Turn around, go a different direction, make a left, go over here, then continue on that way. So anyway, pros and cons. Weigh the stuff, figure out what is the best option for you. So Andy, you say you do that with pistols. What does that mean? That you go back and forth depending on what you're wearing? Say that, because some people will do that. They'll say, hey, in the wintertime I'm wearing sweatshirts and bigger clothes, and so I can carry a larger frame pistol. In the summertime, when I'm wearing maybe tighter fitting or lighter weight clothing, I need to carry a small gun. Some people will do that. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that most of the time, certainly concealing my 365 XL is easier than this thing, especially right now with the compensator on it. I mean, I feel that. This gun is a little bit thicker than the 365, but not much. It really, now, I'd say probably the biggest detriment I have with this gun, and it's hard to see on the camera, but this has got a very small flared magwell. That will poke out. And then just the length of this, I just have to make sure it's sitting in the right spot on my body to be able to hide it. But I do that pretty easily with shorts and a t-shirt too. Now, yes, there are pros to carrying a smaller gun because it's lighter weight. It is typically easier to conceal, although not always. I actually had a conversation with Liz about this a while ago when I first got the 365 XL, is that I constantly felt like the top of, the grip of my gun was doing this, was leaning outward, because I don't have as much of the pistol underneath my belt line, right? If, let's just say the muzzle of that 365 ends here, well, the dang gun holds the smaller magazine, 13 rounds, okay? That's still a fair amount of weight, 13 rounds of 9mm, so I kept feeling it doing this. With my Enigma, I could kind of tune it up a little bit, and I could keep it a little bit tighter. With my Pro holster, just like this one, I could put some wedges on the back, even though the Pro's got kind of a built-in wedge. I should probably put another one on there just to make it feel a little bit better. I don't have to do that with this one. I can conceal this gun very, very well, even though it's a big gun. It is a little bit more uncomfortable. I do have to pay a little bit more attention to my muzzle and where it's poking me, but especially if I'm going to shoot the gun, right? Because this holster doesn't cover the whole muzzle. So if I'm going to train with this that can get bad real fast. Anyway, that's a conversation for another time of going back and forth between guns. Is that a good idea? Is it not a good idea? Again, pros and cons. There are definitely some advantages to switching it up, and there's some big disadvantages too. I'm going to give one more disadvantage to carrying the same gun and training with the same gun. I never even considered this. But when we were taking Brian's class, he had mentioned it, that if you carry a 365 XL every day, and that's the gun you're training with all the time, because you should be training, you really probably should have a second one that's set up exactly the same. And train with one, carry the other. Still shoot the one that you carry, but maybe not thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds, because you don't want to wear that gun to the point where it may not work. Or shoot the crap out of it for 3 or 4 days and then put it on your waist to carry it, and it's super gunked up and nasty. And now that you're in this high stress situation, maybe your grip's not perfect. When your grip's great, the gun will still run, but when your grip starts to slip a little bit because you're in an altercation, it may not work. So that was just something to consider. Maybe an excuse to buy another gun. I don't know. But, and I've thought about it. I've thought about getting another Shadow very similar to this one for that very reason. So, all right. I've been rambling for like 30 minutes. I'm going to let you guys get back to your regularly scheduled lives. Please, again, if you can, if you want to, I would appreciate it if you share the video, tell people to come to our Facebook page, The Range STL, wherever you're watching this at. If you're watching on Facebook, share it so people can come and like the page or follow the page. If you're on Facebook and you haven't been to if you're on YouTube and you haven't been to our Facebook page, please come check us out on Facebook. Just search for The Range STL. If you find The Range St. Louis West, that's the account that has been axed. So hopefully we'll get that back, but I don't know when that'll happen. That's it. You guys want to come hang out with us today, 14803 Manchester Road in beautiful Baldwin, Missouri. Please come in, get out of the silly heat that we're going to have the next couple days. It's going to be nice and cool in the bays downstairs. Come in, you give me a high five. You can give Vinny, you pat on top of the head. He'll be in tomorrow. Liz, you'll have to wait till next week. She should be back next week. Maybe you'll have the two of us on Monday, and then sometime during the week we'll try to get all three of us on again. You guys have a super awesome day. Stay safe, be nice to one another. We'll catch you soon. Later.